Okay, now, let's see, the videos I'm going to talk about now. My husband's waving in the background. I'm going to talk a minute about adoption. We're pursuing adoption. I mentioned that in other videos, as well as trying to conceive. But I'm not going to talk about the trying to conceive in this video. I think the first video I made, I'd mention a little bit about our history. Rundown on that is, we've also been trying to adopt. Initially, we tried to adopt from China, or we got started with an agency to try to adopt from China, and it was like 10 years on and off. And then due to we had a kinship placement for a while of a relative's child. We kind of postponed that because we were busy trying to help them, and then they ended up being able to reunify, which was great. We had her on and off for 4 years, and was glad we did it. In the meantime, China changed their laws. We no longer qualified. Then we were on the 2-year waiting list for Vietnam. Then they shut their program down. Then, or we weren't on a 2-year waiting list. We were waiting. Anyway, didn't work out. Then we decided to go with foster care adoption, and that's where we're at now. After our kinship placement went back home, we started through the local Department of Children's Services to get certified as foster parents with the goal of adopting through the foster care. We had read a lot about it. We were encouraged from other people to do it. And, you know, international and domestic adoption cost, you're talking $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, and $1,000. When you adopt through the foster care system, it is little to nothing, is what we have been told. So that was a good option for us, because basically now we're broke. So, not that we ever had a lot of money, but anyway. So we went through the local DSS, and it was a little bit too much for me emotionally at the time, because we had just lost our kinship placement, and I was just wanted to be a mom for so long. I was really emotionally upset about that. So I wasn't ready to deal with birth parents again, frankly. No offense to birth parents at all. I get it. You know, sometimes you can't be the parent you need to be, and you need a little help. I get that. That is not the case all the time. Anyway, for me, I was just done with that for a little bit. So halfway through the classes, I told them I needed a break. And they said, that's okay, we understood. They had a lot of parents that went through that. Let us know when you're ready to pick it back up again. A year went by. I needed a year to kind of just recover from all the international, the kinship, and just on and on and on and on and on. And, you know, it's a lot. It's stressful. When you're put in a situation over and over again where you help other people be parents, and at the end of the day, you never get to have that. It's heartbreaking, as any of you who are going through this or have been through this journey know. So, then this past year in 2012, around April, May, I was ready again. Contacted the Department of Children's Services, and we live in a rural, small town area, small county now. We used to live in a bigger city, but we live near a bigger city, but we called them back, and they said they were overwhelmed and overloaded and were not certifying anymore. They weren't training anyone else to be foster parents or helping people adopt at this point in time. But they referred us out to surrounding counties, Department of Children's Services, and or private agencies. What they call, there's private agencies that work with foster children. So, and I have to tell you, I've been familiar with a website called Adopt Us Kids. I've been watching children on there for 5 years or more now. And we had never been in a position to be able to actually inquire about the kids. I mean, I'd made some calls, and they would always say, oh, go get your foster care license and send us your home study, and then we'll consider you. Okay, they've been great. I love Adopt Us Kids. So, I digress. Back to contacting local DSS again. They said they were not certifying any parents right now because they were just had not enough workers and too much work. So we contacted different agencies and people that they had given us over and over again. And here's my thing. If we adopt through the foster care system, and there was that one actress who I love, Nia Vardalos. I think that's how you pronounce her name. The lady from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I saw a show where she was advocating adopting through the foster care system, where she was able to adopt her daughter, her and her husband. And that, I loved that, and it really encouraged me to consider more. It just helped. It was encouragement to say, yes, adoption through the foster care system can happen. Or so I thought. So we researched it a lot. Dave Thomas Foundation, Adopt Us Kids, on and on and on. Adoption Exchange, adopt.org, and there's just a lot of websites out there where they have photo listings of these supposedly waiting children. Wednesday's Child, all of that. Yeah, this is going to be several videos to get to where I need to get to on this, where where we are at on our adoption journey. But we called around to different agencies, and I want to adopt. My husband and I do. We respect those who can adopt teenagers, and we cannot say that we will not ever adopt a teenager. We would just at this moment prefer children at least 8 and under. No offense to older children. And preferably 5 and under. And it has nothing to do with the older kids. It has a lot to do with, I want bonding time before school. These children have hard enough of a transition without the distraction of school and other things. Maybe that's a jaded view of it, but, for us and our strengths. And we've parented little kids. I have not parented a teenager. I wouldn't have the foggiest idea how to parent a teenager. So for us, that is our goal. However, we've told the social workers to bring us any child of any age on a case-by-case basis. So we called around to different agencies. Oh, and I wanted the ability to be able to take any child anywhere in the United States. That's very hard to find. You wouldn't think it would be hard to find, but apparently I don't know how much the lighting, how good or bad the lighting is, because I needed to see, and I had to cut my lamp on, but I think it's making me darker. I don't know. Anyway, so we went and called around to different agencies, and the social workers kept telling us that they did not place interstate, which for those of you who don't know means they don't place any child outside their state. It's like a jurisdiction, like, a police jurisdiction or a county or whatever. But they would say, well, this agency does, but we don't. Or we don't place children under the age of 8. But I had read and heard on television and on the internet that there are hundreds of thousands of children waiting in the foster care system. So I thought, well, wow, there are no kids under the age of 8? Really? But then I would see children 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 years old on Adopt Us Kids. For the last 5 years I've seen them. So I know that to not be true. Now, it may be rare, but I know there are available children. I know that they have the children's best interests at heart, so they're going to try to place the older ones first. But what they don't realize, in my opinion, is that when you try to place the older ones first, you should just try to place them as you can, any and all of them. But when you try to place the older ones first and make the younger ones wait, the younger ones eventually become older ones. So it's just a cycle of trauma and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But whatever, that's a whole nother video right there. Back to the point. We interviewed several different agencies, and we found one who, we talked to the lady. She said yes, they place interstate, yes, they work with Adopt Us Kids, they worked, and we were interested in special needs. We were requesting physical special needs because we are qualified due to my health issues and due to my husband's experience. My stepson's deaf, profoundly deaf, so we use ASL. Although his son lives out of state, so we don't get to use that as much as we used to, but we can. And then we have had people in our church who've been deaf, and so we've used that quite a bit, the ASL. And because I have special needs, my mother also has MS and has seizures, and so I've dealt with things like that. So we do have experience with special needs. It's a special interest of mine. So medical and physical special needs, we were very interested in. So this agency happened to be therapeutic, which means they deal with special needs children, or so we were told. And so we started training with them. And they were great in the fact that they allowed us to pick up where we left off in the like map training, path training. You know, they're all a little different. So we did all that, and because we kind of live out in the country, they actually let us, they really worked with us and let us do a lot of that work from home. And then we would meet with a social worker, and she would evaluate us at different visits. Then we were finally licensed in December. It is now February. We had finally licensed, finally. I think I'm going pretty long. So we're going to say we finally got our license, and then I'm going to stop here. And then I'll do another little video. This is going to be in several parts. So this was part 1. Getting certified for foster care and adoption. There's going to be a part 2. And I'll do that in just a minute. Because I'm running long on this video. I don't like to make them more than 10 minutes. And I think I'm already right at 12. So part 1. Sometimes I'll throw up my fingers and it's 2. And I'm talking about a different number. So overlook that. It's just me. But that is the first part, long part, in a long, many-year journey to get certified to adopt through the foster care system. Second video, I'll go into more detail about that and where we're at now. Okay, bye.